Is it a bird? Is it a plane? No, it's Superman. No, it's not Superman either. It's drones. Watch yourself. Here they come. Howdy, everyone, and welcome to Cowlick Nation, the podcast where we look at real-world farming and how it affects the game we love, Farming Simulator. Now watch your step. This here is Cowlick Nation. Howdy, 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 and welcome to Cowlick Nation. I am your host, LockNutz, and today's podcast, the topic is drones. Yes, you betcha, drones. Now, if you go ahead and you take a look at all the technologies that have come and gone with farming, from the steam-powered engine to power the tractors to moving up and down the field, rocking and rolling with this big machinery, to having to walk out in the fields, ride your horses on out there, take a look and see what's going on. How's this looking? What's going on over here? Walking around like animals. Well, not really like animals, but you know what I'm getting at. There's one thing that we need to look at. How did all this stuff happen? Technology. Technology has advanced, and the only place really to go is up into the sky. I can't think of a better way to describe it as a farmer standing on top of a hill looking over his land, seeing what's out there, walking through the fields, talking to the crops, doing what he has to do to see what's going on. Now, in this day and age where you have fields that are getting bigger and bigger and bigger, a farmer can't necessarily walk every last acre that's out there, can't get out there and see every last little bit of land because a farmer is busy. They have plenty of time on their hands for certain things, like winter. There's not much you can do in winter for farming unless you have animals or other sort of side projects going on. But when you have thousands of acres of crops that you have to look at, the only way that you can really go ahead and handle this is up in the sky. Now, drones we have actually seen in Farming Simulator before. I believe in FS19 we had a mod out there. It was pretty darn cool. I think it did some spot spraying. Not too shabby. So far in FS22 on the mod hub, we don't have anything like that, but that's not just what drones are for. It's not just for playing the game. They're really out there. They do real things. You've seen over the last couple of years more and more companies pop up, locally or on the internet or places that you can go ahead and find these services where they'll take their drones, they'll come out to your land and they'll survey things for you. And drones are becoming very, very useful, from checking out the topography of the land to being able to watch the properties that are out there. And to be able to get a good analysis of drainage. Now, you might be telling yourself that, okay, well, that's nice, that's fine and dandy, but you have to realize on the other side of it, you don't have to hire somebody. You can be a farmer, you can be out there, you can be rocking and rolling at the exact same time, and you can go ahead and buy this technology. Because you would think, even just a couple years ago, you wouldn't see a single drone flying around. But now, they're actually fairly affordable. If you imagine how much a brand new John Deere tractor costs that's out there rocking in the field, or even a brand new harvester, they're thousands and thousands of dollars. Drones, on the other hand, they can be anywhere from under $100 to well over $1,000. Some of the average price ones that are pretty darn good quality run around $500 American. I'm just looking at American dollars here for this. So imagine a farmer going ahead and looking at this, being able to save some time, buying a drone to get out there and fly this thing around to get a good bird's eye view. But it's not just for checking out the topography of the land. Farmer usually knows what's going on with that. They know their own property. They know where all that stuff is. They generally know where the drainage ends up going. But on the other side of it, the farmer can go ahead and use this thing for taking a look at their crops, the management side of things. Imagine you're out there, you're rocking and rolling, and you're planting your fields. And you're kind of noticing that once you get down towards the end of the field and you get back up and you do a couple laps back and forth, all of a sudden your rows are looking a little funny and the spacing's just not quite right. Well, one of the things that you can do with this is you can get up in the air, you can take a look at this and look for the inconsistencies, the potential issues that are coming from your machinery. Maybe not broken yet, but working towards that way of maybe we need to take a little look at this because something's not quite right. It's a good way to go ahead and check a lot of that stuff out. On the other side of it, you can also go ahead and take a look at the crops as they're starting to come up. Where is water tending to sit a little bit more? Where is there drainage underneath the field? Or maybe it's not working quite the way you need it. Maybe there's an issue here or there. Well, you can get your drone up in the air and take a peek at this and do a little bit of surveying of the land. On the other side of it, you have other things that's good for. Take a look at when you, instead of walking out in the field and checking every last little thing, well, where are the weeds? Do we have to look at fungus out in the fields? Are there insects out there destroying the crops? Well, you can go out there and you can find these areas in these hundreds of acres or thousands of acres with this drone. Get this thing up there, fly it around. You can do a nice little survey and check some of this stuff out. So instead of the farmer walking out and going to field to field to field and just driving all over the place on the edge or walking it, doing what he's got to do, he can fly this drone up in the air, pinpoint where he needs to go, and get himself out there to inspect it, whether to see if it really needs to be done. Or if skilled enough, you can get that drone down nice and low and take a peek at things to see what's going on. What really is going on? Is this something we need to deal with? Do we need to keep moving forward with this? After you get to that point and you figure out what's going on, they even make drones like the one that we seen in FS19 that'll actually spray the field for you. Yes, you bet. You can get that thing out there to spray pesticides, herbicides, figure out if there's any rot out there in the fields with this, and maybe even fertilizer, a little bit of spot treatments here and there. It's a pretty neat thing to be able to go ahead and do that. That's not just something we see in the game. That's something that you see in real life, and that's the magical part about this. That's where you get all this relaying and back and forth. Well, is this something that's on the game? Is this something that's not in the game? It is. You can see it out in real life, and it's actually a pretty cool thing to do. And one of the really neat things about that, getting out there with some of these drones, you can actually go ahead and see heads-up displays. Like you have a little controller that's in your hand, flying this thing around, and it has the nice 4K screen on it. You can actually have certain softwares that'll actually recognize where your water, where the soil is wet, where it's a little bit drier, where you need to have a little bit more fertilizer, where is this picking up weeds. And now you go back and you take a look at precision farming. The heads-up displays that you can see on precision farming, the little map, the color-coded maps, that's the type of stuff you end up seeing on that little 4K screen that you're using to control your drone. It's really cool how this stuff just actually comes together. It's not just a game. It's based in reality. It really is based in reality. And even with that, going one step further, you can go ahead and take these drones and set them up and have a program that's very similar to Courseplay. Yes, Courseplay. You can have this drone fly up and down the field in different patterns that you want it to do just by typing it in. People go ahead and they'll say, well, I don't want to play with Courseplay because it's too unrealistic. Well, how about this right here? You can actually go ahead and set your drone to fly out in the field, investigate your field, do spot pesticides, do spot herbicides, in wherever you need it. Go flying along this route. Oh, we sense something right here. We're going to spray a little bit here. Going to keep on going. You can spray something right there. And then all that goes back to a database where you can go ahead and check that out, that information moving forward. Where are you historically going ahead and doing this stuff? Where are you not doing it? It's really cool. As a matter of fact, they've even developed a drone that is shaped like a bee. It's very small, and they're actually using this, or they're in the process of testing it yet at this point, to go ahead and pollinate the fields. Bees are something that are very, very indicative of what's going on in the farming world. You see a lot of bees throughout the world that are starting to disappear and just starting to be issues with them, trying to figure out what's going on. Well, this is one way that we can try and help and resolve the situation. Bees are good for pollinating. That's the reason why we get extra bonuses on the game for going ahead and having bees near flowering fields. You produce more. It's just what actually ends up happening in real life. So if these bee drones can actually get themselves up and running and working properly, we can go ahead and kind of help counter some of this bee disappearing problem that we're seeing throughout the world. It's really, really cool. The technology is there. It's advancing and it's absolutely amazing. Now we've gone ahead and taken a look at these practical aspects of how you can use drones to help better the farmer to get out there to see what's going on. From taking a look at the land to surveying it, to seeing where you can go ahead and add a little bit more fertilizer to precipitation levels, moisture levels, where are the weeds and how can we get rid of them? What happens if you have disasters? Whether it be a natural disaster like a tornado come rip-roaring through, or you have hail out there, or potentially man-made hazards and disasters like fire. Essentially crop damage. That's the other thing that the farmer can go ahead and do. What if the situation isn't all that great? What if there's a problem out there, a gas leak potentially? In some parts of the U.S., there are gas lines, natural gas lines that run underneath farm fields. What happens if there's a gas leak out there and it's not safe for the farmer to get out there? You can use these drones because the drone won't die. The battery may die, but you're not putting anyone's life in danger. If there's a fire, you can get the drone out there. You can take a look at this, see where it is, help the authorities to be able to get this fire underneath control. They serve so many different purposes for the farmer to be able to go ahead and do things that were only a handful of years ago thought to be fantasy. Made up. Hogwash. Whatever phrase you want to go ahead and use, this is something that is moving forward within the world and farming and how things get to go. Now, I talked about a couple mods, a couple features of the game, precision farming, course play, and the different little tactics, the mod that we talked about in there. There is that stuff. That is only a handful of things that drones are good for here, with farmers being used by farmers and by Farming Simulator. But one of the things that I think we're going to see a lot more of is drones being used for map making. Now, I'd like to take a quick second to do a little advertisement here. Now, one of the things that I'd like to talk about is dirt. Yes, dirt. Dirt is something that we all need. Farmers need it. You need it. I need it. You can take a little bit of water and make some mud. You can dry it out, make some sand. People actually pay money to go have themselves a mud bath. For crying out loud. It's an absolutely beautiful thing, dirt. You can put a little bit of seed in it, sprinkle some water on it, and then after time goes by, voila, you have plant. It's an absolutely fabulous thing. If you guys have an opportunity, get down to the local store and get yourself some dirt today, or heck, buy a shovel and go get some for yourself. Dirt, it's what you need. It's under your fingernails. Now, myself, I am fairly new to the Farming Simulator community. I started playing FS19. There was a little bit of time in there where, I believe with help from a friend, I realized I had played FS15 very briefly. And now here I am in FS22, and I take a look at the development of maps over the couple years that I know. And because I'm such a fan of the game, I've actually looked back beyond that period of time, back farther. When maps were coming out, mods were coming out, the different styles, the different techniques that were being used at that point to go ahead and create maps, you had everything from just making it up as you went along to potentially looking at a map, a physical map. It's so archaic, but a physical map. maybe looking at the internet, trying to figure something out like that. And we kind of advanced a little bit using more GPS systems, satellite imagery to go ahead and find these areas out there to be able to navigate the lands, be able to get the right hills and bumps and nicks and crannies all where they're supposed to be. It's kind of neat to see how the maps have developed over the years. And now, going back to drones, drones are the next thing we're starting to see. Drones flying up into the air, taking pictures of the landscape, being able to go ahead and take pictures of different houses, trees, barns, animals, all over the place to be able to go ahead and get nice, accurate copies of it for the game. It's been able to add an extra layer of realism into the maps that are coming out, and it's absolutely amazing to see this sort of stuff happening. I can't wait to go ahead and see where everything heads on from here. I know drones are becoming a larger part in the map making process because, like what I said earlier, the price of drones are going down. They're still fairly expensive, but you can usually get them, like I said, under $100. You can spend however much you want on them, thousands of dollars if even. But some of those ones that are pretty darn cheap, I guess, for what they are, a flying camera robot with speaker, 4K digital screen helicopter thing that you can fit in your hand, RC car, whatever you want to call it, slapped all into one. They're relatively cheap for all the technology that's going into those things. So with the technology being cheaper, wider access to it, people are having the opportunity to go ahead and check this stuff out. I know a handful of map makers that have gone ahead and used this technique recently, and it's definitely added a whole new level to the map making game. Now, again, like I said, I can't wait to see where this ends up going. I'd like you guys to go ahead, if you have the opportunity. This is going to be on YouTube and other different places. If it's on YouTube here, comment down below. Have you guys ever seen anything like that? Have you gone ahead and seen any of these little things happening? It'd be pretty cool to see this. Have you flown a drone? Go ahead, comment down below. Let me know what you guys know about drones. Do you own a drone? All that stuff. And if you're not, don't worry about it. If you're listening onto some other podcast, either Apple or wherever it ends up being, go ahead. I'll have a place where you can ask a question down below, or I'll try to at least, and go ahead and just let me know. Give me some feedback on this. I'll make sure there's a way for you guys to go ahead and get in touch with me. But it's really kind of cool taking a look at these new technologies that are out here and how they're going ahead and advancing into the game, how they're going to go ahead and advance in the game in the future. Who knows? As of right now, you take a look at a lot of the map tours that are out there. What's one of the common things that you end up seeing? You end up seeing at some point flying through the air, looking at the landscape from up above, taking a look at all the beauty that has to be done on all of these maps. What do you think that is? It's a drone. You're not really a drone. You're just flying around, either by using the easy development mods or anything else that lets you fly up into the sky. Heck, even going into the construction menu where you get to go ahead and plant buildings, you could even fly around right there. That's a drone view that's right there. It's built into the game. It's super, super cool to be able to see all these different little features come in there. And a lot of it has to do with the fact that us as humans, we're not satisfied with walking on the ground. It's not good enough for us. We need the bird's eye view, and the only way that we can get the bird's eye view is through drones. Being able to get out there, make the farming community better, makes the game a lot better. It gives us all these different features, and again, I can't wait to see where this goes next. I can only assume that it goes up. Now, I happen to have an opportunity to sit down with a map maker who happened to use drones while going ahead and making his map. So let's take a second here and listen to what Ola Haldor had to say. One thing that you kind of talked about here, and I guess I kind of talked about with flying, I guess, is you use drones to fly around here on Reneview and take pictures and do the whole 9 yards with recording different areas, getting good video evidence of this. Do you think that drones could possibly be a very useful tool, or should I say to you, was using a drone a very useful tool to you when making Reneview?
Absolutely, it was invaluable. It became sort of by accident my most used tool. Because I had been working on the map for almost a year. I started in like September, October or something. And then fast forward to the summer after, I visited my parents during summer vacation, and I asked my father, "Could I borrow your drone? I'd like to shoot some footage to sort of make this cool trailer where I go from real footage and present the map, and then jump over to in-game footage." And he said, "Yeah, yeah, sure." And then I discovered after I had gotten home that I didn't really shoot much useful for the trailer. I guess I sort of got carried away with shooting orbits around farms, and I probably had an idea that, okay, this is good reference so I can see what's on all the sides. But because I shot video, I got like, it's 60 FPS, like frames per second.
Mm-hmm.
So I can get a lot of data out of this. And I used a photogrammetry tool years ago, and I remembered it had a function to extract frames from video. So I didn't have to do anything manual. I just put the video in that software, and it extracted this and that many frames per second from my video, and it called whatever is to equal and kept what's a set threshold of difference, and then it well, photogrammetry in general is like it combines all the photos and sees where different pixels are in different photos. Okay. So when it compares it all, you end up with a 3D model. It's coarse, it's crude, whatever you want to call it. It's not perfect, but it gives you the perfect scale.
Okay.
So if I had only looked at photos or the video and I've seen that, okay, this is a John Deere 2410 or whatever. Okay, how tall is that from ground to roof? And I could say, okay, it's this and that many meters. How many tractors could I stack on top of each other to get to the top of the roof on this barn or this house or whatever? It's a very inaccurate measurement.
Okay.
So double checking map data of sort of the what's it called, the ground floor. I lost a word. But you get like yes. A plane on the map, right? And I could measure from end to end, how long is this barn? And then I made sure that this photogrammetry scan, this 3D model of this area, measured exactly that in the 3D model. And then I automatically got the correct height, width, whatever. And I could basically have put that straight into the game. Although not game-friendly model, I could get an idea that, whoa, this is the perfect size. It actually works. I can model real-life houses and barns and whatnot to fit into the game. So to jump back to your original question, was drones used and useful? Absolutely. And I used drone footage so much that I have probably 2 hours of just orbiting around farms and areas to capture the perfect height, especially the height of buildings. So
that must have scared the locals just a little bit.
Well, there's the rules and laws and whatnot, and then there's the option to speak to the owner of let's say a farm and say, hey, I have this project. Could I please fly a little closer than what the laws and regulations are? And if you get if they agree, we can fly closer than 50 meters, and so on. So we could gather more information or data, which would be impossible because maybe there's trees in the way, maybe there's a mountain in the way, which is so close to the house that I can't possibly fly close enough to or low enough to capture the detail I need.
Yeah, I don't have that problem where I live.
No. So if I didn't have the drone, I think the project would have died a long, slow death. It would certainly not be as well. It's not really populated now compared to real life, but it wouldn't be anywhere as populated as it is now.
Okay, I gotcha. I see exactly what you're saying there. Yeah, drones. I've been very impressed. You take a look at a lot of YouTube content creators. They go ahead and there's a lot of people out there using drones. You use the drone to go ahead and help make Renoview, and I personally see that as being a trend because the detail that you're able to go ahead and get with a lot of different things by using that drone. Why wouldn't people go out and use it? You know, just the map makers, model makers, everything like that. And this day in technology, prices are kind of dropping a little bit for drones, and I could see it happening. Do you kind of feel that that's a possibility that map makers or even modders will start using a little bit more with this drone technology?
I honestly kind of hope that more map makers will go outside their office and make their buildings and mods. Because there are mods that don't really resemble real life, even though it's a building, you can see that, but there's something missing. Like, I can't put my finger on it right now, but I think in general, people should go outside more, take more photos and get good references.
Heck yeah.
Like on the farm where you start when you go for the easy route.
Okay.
I got so many photos from that farmer. I know her personally. We grew up from kindergarten and all that, and I still know her and visit her and all. So she very, very happily shared a lot of photos around her house, and I wouldn't be able to do those details on the windows and the doors without those photos. I could try to remember it, or I could try to Google some photo, which would have been too low res to really see any details.
Yeah.
But try to model something from that. But actually getting authentic reference photos, either from her or I could have waited until I went there myself. Yeah, it's invaluable. You really need to have good references. So go out that door and grab your camera or your drone, for that matter. Regarding drones, though, it's not so that everyone can just get a drone and fly. I don't know how regulations are in the US, but in Norway and most parts of Europe, there's regulations and laws. In some countries, you need a certificate that says, "Hey, I'm a registered drone pilot. I'm allowed to fly drones, and I know the rules, and I will adhere to the rules in the given area." So that's an important thing to make note of as well.
Yes,
And
exactly. You don't want to get a drone, go out, start flying, and next thing you know, you're being locked up and thrown in jail for doing something you're not supposed to. I gotcha.
Yeah. And I think it's also important that if you know there's a specific farm you'd like to scan, go knock on their door. Ask, can I please take a few minutes and orbit either video or photos and scan this farm. If you'd like a photo of your area or your farm, I'd be happy to share that with you. Like, give something back as well.
Exactly.
Offer something, and then people are most likely going to be okay with it.
Exactly. I mean, if you're out doing something and you'd like to get something, most everybody, you're not going to run into somebody or a lot of people that are going to be, sure, you can have whatever you want for free. But if you go and offer something right off the bat, I completely agree. People are more willing to say, okay, this is a nice trade, I'll do that. So that's a good bit of advice for you, or for everyone out there. To listen to this interview in its entirety, check out the podcast available on Amazon Music, Google Podcasts, iHeartRadio, or Spotify. Thank you for listening to this episode of Cowlick Nation. Hopefully you'll head on back sometime, and don't worry, we'll have coffee on for you. Thanks for stopping by.